Welcome. My name is Andrea Brown. This is Thrival Now, a YouTube channel where I'm committed to helping you go from survival to thrival in your health, wealth, and relationships. I'm laying in my hammock. I want to show you a little bit of my backyard. We got some blooming trees back there and all around me. I felt it might be pertinent to sit in the hammock for this, what I want to share today, and that is about rest. I just finished an incredible little 3-day solo trip, getaway retreat to the wonderful, tiny little town of Hot Springs, North Carolina. And I am just bursting to encourage and challenge you to find a way to make rest a part of your life in a greater way than you have already. Whether that is little stealing moments in your day or an hour in your day for rest, or what we have begun practicing on a regular basis this year as a family is 1 day a week of rest, like a Sabbath basically, or even up to doing what I have just done, which is a little solo retreat. I can't stress enough how important rest is, to have time to reflect and look back on the path you've taken and where you've come, to revel in how far you've come on the journey and what you've traversed and the difficulties you've overcome, but also to really take stock. If you want to live with the least amount of regrets in life, you have to have time to reflect and see what you would change, what you would do different. And with that, it gives you an opportunity to also look forward and imagine the future, to dream. What would your life be like if you could create anything, and if anything were possible? What would you do? Who would you be? Where would you live? And what kind of impact and legacy would you leave in the world? And so this, for me, was a time totally for that, reflecting and visioneering, as I like to call it, kind of really becoming an architect of your dreams. And as it was providentially, I really had no cell service in this tiny little town. I can't say anyone else will have that issue. I'm not sure if it was my phone or the cell service, but it really underscored the need and the time to just distance myself from outside voices and influence and really get clear on a lot of things about family, about my life, who I want to be, and business and impact that I want to make in the world. And so one of the things through the years is I've tried to make rest a part of my life. I haven't always succeeded, and we were definitely for many years in very real survival mode. So I know it can take resources and really planning and effort to create the space and time for this, but wherever you're at in it, man, I encourage you to find a way to do this. For me, one of the great images and metaphors that I want to share to underscore how important this is was an experience that I had years ago. I did some paddling trips in the Southwest, and one of them was on the San Juan River that runs through. At that point, it was like it was near the four corners of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. So I don't even know exactly which state I was in when this happened. But I was on I think it was a 12 or a 14-day paddling trip. And we had arranged to spend 3 full days in rest as a group in one particular camp, not moving camp, just resting. And the instructor of this course that I was part of in college ended up, well, first of all, it was the monsoon season. It was in August, and the monsoon season in the Southwest means that there is rain somewhere every day, and it's dumping it all into the rivers. And the dirt and there's a very, very fine silt that you'll find in those places in the Southwest. And during the monsoon season, those rivers are as dirty as you can imagine. And so every day, in order to get our drinking water, so that we didn't overstress and burn out our filters, our water filters, when we would get into camp at night, we would fill 5-gallon buckets of water and let the water settle out overnight. And in the mornings, we would pump the water to fill our canteens and water bottles and cook with and all that. And so most of us had seen how much silt settled out in a 12 or 16-hour period. It was pretty significant. And when we got into camp for this 3-day, or we were going to be there for 3 full days, so maybe 4 nights, I guess it was, the instructor arranged to set up 3 designated buckets that were going to be set aside for a little experiment or demonstration. And so the first day he filled one of the buckets all the way and covered it. The next day he filled another bucket, covered it. And the third day he filled a bucket and covered it. And before we left on our final day in that morning, he began to uncover these buckets. And so he took the lid off the bucket that had settled, he'd let this water settle out for 24 hours. And incredibly, there was at least a 1/4 inch of silt settled out in the bottom of this bucket. It was probably more than that, but I'm going to go with that. And the water was even clearer than every other morning when we had filtered our buckets. Like, it was incredible, just that extra 10 or something hours, a full 24 hours, what settled out. And then he took the lid off the second bucket. And my God, it was just clear. There must have been a 1/2 inch of silt that had settled out. So for my Canadian friends, I mean, we're talking a centimeter and a half at this point, or a centimeter and 1/4. Or my and other friends that speak the metric system, right? I got to try and keep this be multilingual here. And then the last day, or he finally took the lid off the third bucket. And I really couldn't have imagined more silt could have settled out of the water in that bucket. But by golly, there was probably at that point 3/4 of an inch that had settled out. So almost, I don't know, what is that, 2 centimeters? It was incredible. And we stood looking at these 3 buckets, and I so wish that I could do this demonstration, but unless I have one of my friends send me some silt from the Southwest, I won't be doing that anytime soon. Maybe I'll get out there for a monsoon season for a demonstration. But if you can just imagine, to think that water was clear after it had rested for 12 hours, and then to see what it was like when it rested for 24 hours, and then to see what it was like when it had rested for 48 and 72 hours. And I think that is so fitting for our lives. We often think we're getting rest. And when we have just started to rest, or we think we've rested, we haven't even begun to rest. And so in whatever way you can start applying this in your life, you'll be amazed at how the clarity you'll have in your situation, with raising kids, in your marriage, in your finances, in business, if you can create space and time to rest. And you'll be amazed at even the short rests, what you can begin to see and produce, and then the time for reflection and dreaming that'll afford. And if I can prod you, I prod you, and I encourage you, and I challenge you to find a time to get a 24-hour getaway, or 48 or 72 hours, and how life-changing that can be. And it's something I have for years wanted to do every year. I haven't been able to do that for many years of my life, but I've been revisiting this idea of rest, and it's something that I want to recommit to, because it is so powerful, and I know it's life-changing, and I am working on creating the life of my dreams, and I hope that in every way I can help you. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.